Last night, at exactly 10:47 p.m., a woman burned salt, and by 10:50 p.m., her bank balance had gone up. No warning, no notification, no explanation. You're not going to believe what you're about to hear. Imagine the sound of salt snapping in the fire. Sharp, dry, almost like the universe cracking something open inside you and letting it go. The smell is mineral, strong, almost sensual. And they say that if you think of the right name at the exact right moment, something breaks loose. But this ritual isn't a superstition. It was banned by Tibetan monks because it opened portals not even the elders knew how to close. And now, here it is, right in front of you. Why? Maybe because tonight, between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m., a window opens. After that, it won't return until the next purification cycle, 13 months from now. But listen carefully. If you mess up the final step, you attract the opposite. And yes, many people report sudden death, emotional collapse, and energetic blockages that take years to clean. So, comment right now. I want to know the secret. That's how YouTube knows you're ready and unlocks part 2. But only for those who comment. Because what happens when salt touches fire is so powerful that not everyone is prepared to see it. This ritual was so intense that the monks performed it in absolute silence, eyes closed, because it revealed truths most people simply can't handle. Picture this, a stone room, no windows, only the dry, cracking sound of salt burning on glowing coals in the center. No one speaks, no one looks at anyone else, because in this ritual, even a single misguided thought could attract what should never be present. The monks believed the fire didn't just purify the room, it tore the veil between the visible and the invisible, and anyone who looked directly into it saw more than they expected. For centuries, this knowledge passed only from monk to monk, in silent retreats far from civilization. And now you are about to hear something almost no one outside those circles has ever heard in full. But first, if you ignite the salt at the wrong time, you won't free yourself. You'll trap yourself even deeper. Before I show you how to do it, you need to know this. If you perform it at the wrong moment or with the wrong emotion, you might ignite pain instead of healing. Yes, it sounds simple. Salt, fire, silence. But this ritual isn't about the gesture. It's about the invisible frequency you activate when you make that gesture. You're dealing with raw energy, untamed. And fire, in this context, doesn't obey logic. It obeys your vibration. There are stories of people who tried this ritual for relief and awakened memories, dreams, even presences that had been asleep for years. So listen closely, because at the end, I'll reveal the one detail that separates liberation from collapse, and it has never been publicly shared before. What burned in Abigail's house that night wasn't just salt. This is exactly what happened to Abigail, 63 years old, when she lit the salt in her kitchen, crying on her knees, alone, and woke up the next morning with her life completely different. Abigail lived in a suffocating house in the outskirts of Goiânia. You know that kind of silence that feels heavy? She could hear the ticking of the old kitchen clock, as if each second were accusing her. Widowed, drowning in debt, forgotten by her children. She used to say the house smelled like failure. That night the fan was spinning but doing nothing, and the heat clung to her skin like an old regret. Out of nowhere, she remembered a story her grandmother used to tell her. When everything locks up, burn salt and think about the pain, but don't speak to anyone afterward. Abigail grabbed the salt, thick, clumped, old, as if it had also been waiting for this moment. She poured it into a cast-iron pan, lit the flame, and waited. The first crack came dry, sharp, like something splitting inside her. First crack, a choked-back sob. Second crack, the image of her ex-husband flooding her mind. Third crack, an inner scream, enough. She didn't understand what was happening, but something lifted from the air, as if the house itself exhaled in relief. She fell asleep right there on the kitchen floor, between the smell of burnt salt and the wax of a half-melted candle. The next morning at 7:15 a.m., the phone rang. A bank, offering to forgive part of her debt. Coincidence? Maybe. But that same day, one of her sons, the one who hadn't spoken to her in 3 years, called. "I dreamed about you last night, and I just felt like I needed to check on you." And that's when she realized it wasn't just salt. It was release. It was response. It was return. But what the monk revealed to Abigail was never really about the debts. It was about the invisible weight you carry, the one that isn't even yours. Salt has always been more than seasoning. In the right hands, it's a spiritual seal, and when it touches fire, it speaks. Before the modern world turned everything into science and skepticism, ancient civilizations already knew salt is life, salt is death, salt is a portal. In Japan, monks place salt at temple entrances to repel impure spirits. Across the Mediterranean, old sailors burned salt before setting sail, a plea for the ocean not to swallow them whole. In parts of Africa, salt was mixed with earth during reconciliation rituals, sealing promises with what is most pure. And deep in the rural heart of Brazil, burnt salt is used to break invisible agreements, the ones the soul makes in moments of desperation. But it's not just any salt, and not just any fire. What most people don't understand is that the power is not in the object, but in the state of presence of the person conducting it. When you throw salt into ordinary fire, it crackles, it pops, it sparkles. But when you do it with precise intention, in a moment when the energy is heavy, the body tired, the chest tight, something changes in the vibration of the air. It's as if the fire starts responding, not with words, but with signs. You feel it, a chill running up the back of your neck even without a breeze. The sound of the salt stops sounding normal. It cracks like something breaking open. And the smell. It's the smell of something old, like an attic in a grandmother's house or a memory you don't remember living. This isn't your imagination. It's ancestral memory being activated. Your body knows, your energy recognizes it. And the salt remembers, because salt carries codes. It's a crystal, and like every crystal, it records emotions, trauma, desires, agreements. And when you heat that crystal with sacred fire, you don't just purify it, you unlock it. But be careful. There's a very specific moment when the energy opens, and outside of that moment, the ritual flips on itself. And that's where the secret comes in. The one almost no one dares to explain. What happens to the energy the moment salt touches fire changes everything. You think you're just burning salt. But the truth is, the salt is burning what you can't see. The vibration released in that instant has a structure that isn't physical. It's subtle, but incredibly powerful. At the exact moment the salt crackles, a kind of electromagnetic field forms around you. This has been observed in old Tibetan spiritual experiments, where monks, in absolute silence, placed copper bowls filled with salt and candles at specific points in the temple. When they heated the salt with focused intention, the flames behaved abnormally. They grew in spirals, shifted direction, made popping sounds that almost resembled whispers. Sounds crazy? Even quantum research is beginning to acknowledge that human intention alters particles. And when you put salt in the fire with a heart full of old wounds, guilt or repressed emotion, what rises isn't just smoke, it's encoded emotional frequency. That's why some people report feeling dizzy seconds later, getting chills even though the fire is burning hot, hearing sounds in the house, footsteps, taps, or faint voices. These aren't mistakes, they're responses. The ritual works like a spiritual scanner. It detects what's stuck and shows it to you. But here's the warning. If you stop too soon, if you react with fear, or if you leave the room, you shut the cleansing down halfway, and everything that was rising comes back, stronger. That's why so many people say, "I did the ritual and things got worse." They opened the field but didn't close it, and the closing is what guarantees transformation. But to reach that point, you first have to move through the most feared moment, the truth about what lives inside you. I'm about to show you how to do it. But first, you need to understand why so many people are afraid of this ritual. Because it's not the salt that scares you. It's not even the fire. It's what shows up when you stop, truly stop, and listen to what's trapped inside your field. This ritual doesn't demand blind faith. It demands presence. And presence, for someone who spent a lifetime running from themselves, hurts. You have no idea how many people stop the process halfway, right at the moment when the truth finally begins to surface. Some people see shadows. Some hear the name of the one who caused the wound. Some smell places they don't consciously remember ever visiting. Why? Because when salt enters symbolic combustion with your emotional field, it pulls up the invisible agreements, the ones you made with yourself without even noticing. I don't deserve it. I'll never have peace. Love isn't meant for me. And here's the point. Salt doesn't break what you refuse to release. If you rush through the ritual, striking the match and expecting magic, nothing happens. Or worse, you reactivate what had been sleeping. That's why before I show you the step-by-step, you need to know something. This ritual can only be done during an energetic crossroads. And there's one hidden detail that changes everything. What you say in silence while the salt burns. Beautiful words don't matter. It's the vibration of your soul that seals the command. Your emotion is what tells the energy where to go. You're about to access an ancestral code, and once it opens, there's no turning back. So before you continue, drop this in the comments. I'm ready. Because this isn't just a ritual, it's a cut, and cuts hurt before they heal. Abigail learned this the hard way when she tried to perform the ritual a second time, and something much deeper surfaced. The second time Abigail did the ritual, it wasn't out of desperation, it was surrender. And that's when her soul began bleeding truths she had buried decades earlier. She prepared everything again, the white candle burning, the room dark, the coarse salt laid out in a triangle on the cast-iron skillet. But this time, there was no fear. There was a strange sense of inevitability, as if, even if she tried, she could no longer run from what would be revealed. The fire touched the salt. A dense silence filled the room, as if time paused for a few seconds. At the first crack, a shiver slid down her spine. At the second, an image invaded her mind without permission. She was 12 years old, hidden behind the living room curtain, hearing her mother say to her father, "That girl is only going to ruin our lives." Abigail had no memory of that moment, but the fire remembered. The salt kept it. She began to cry, not from present pain, but from an old ache that had never been given a voice. The flame rose, wavered, almost as if it were dancing with what was leaving her body. Then she remembered what Monk Aruna once told her. When the salt brings a memory, accept it. Don't fight it. Just release it. That night, Abigail burned more than salt. She burned the weight of being invisible. She burned the silent promise she made at 12. If I stay small, maybe I won't be rejected. The next morning, when she looked in the mirror, something had changed. Not her face, her eyes. For the first time in years, she saw herself. And with that, the signs began to appear. An old client reached out with a new job offer. The neighborhood gossip finally moved away. And for the first time in 8 years, Abigail dreamed of her mother. But this time, her mother was looking at her with softness. The ritual didn't bring luck, it brought release, it brought truth. And with truth came space for life to grow again. But that was only the beginning. Because what happens when the salt starts cracking out of rhythm, that's the most feared sign of this ritual. Abigail described the sound as if it were alive. The first pops came steady, like a distant drum. But then, a sharper, dry crack, completely offbeat, made the candle flicker. The flame wavered, the smell grew stronger, and her body froze. She couldn't feel her hands anymore. Only a slow, steady heat rising along her spine. as if someone were peeling away old layers of pain, one by one. This is the moment most people can't get through, because the ritual isn't linear. It scans your field, and when the salt snaps off rhythm, it's not a malfunction, it's an answer. It's the sign that what was buried has begun to surface, and if you stay there, steady, breathing, that's where the real transformation begins. Aruna, the monk, explained it like this: salt cracks out of rhythm when it hits something buried with force. It's like striking emotional stone. When that happens, you listen. That night, Abigail listened, and inside the warped crackle of the burning salt, she recognized memories she had never allowed herself to remember. A miscarriage she never told a soul. A man who convinced her that love must hurt to be real. A moment when she quietly wished she didn't exist. The ritual doesn't chase away ghosts. It invites them into the light. And here's the secret: some energies don't want to be expelled. They want to be seen, acknowledged, released. When that happens, the transformation stops being only spiritual. It becomes physical, chemical, atmospheric. The house shifts, the face shifts, the vibrational field around you shifts. Abigail no longer had to beg for help. Doors began to open because she stopped locking them from the inside. And now you're going to learn how to perform this ritual correctly, with every symbol, intention, and hidden command intact. But be careful. Forget even one word during the ritual, and the effect can flip. Now you're going to learn the full ritual, but not in a rush. Every gesture here carries a code, and every word has invisible weight. Grab a notebook and a pen. Breathe. Don't try to memorize it. Feel it. This ritual only works when it's done with living intention and complete presence. Ingredients: 3 tablespoons of coarse salt, symbolizing the 3 invisible pacts we must dissolve: guilt, fear, and submission. 1 white candle, a channel for spiritual opening. 1 cast iron pan or skillet, a symbol of the boundary between worlds. 1 glass of water to seal and anchor the cleansing. Setting: alone in absolute silence, lights off or dim lighting. Between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m., preferably on a warm night. Avoid strong perfumes or electronics nearby. The ritual: light the candle and sit facing it. Take 3 deep breaths. Place the skillet on low heat and slowly add the salt without speaking. The moment the salt meets the heat, visualize this phrase without saying it aloud. I release what holds me. I burn what is not mine. I return to who I was before the pain. Important, the salt will start to crackle. That sound is release. Close your eyes, feel it, don't interfere. Picture the pain, the faces, the memories, all burning with the salt. Don't run from what appears. These images are rising to be purified when the very last crackle fades. 4. Slowly sweep your right hand over the candle flame without touching it and whisper, I acknowledge, I accept, I let go. 5. Pour the burned salt into the water. That heavy sizzle seals the cleansing. 6. Dispose of that water far from your home, somewhere with soil. Tip: if, during the ritual, you feel chills, dizziness, or you suddenly start crying, keep going. Those are signs the energy is responding. Stop only if a deep instinctive fear rises. That means something inside is not ready to be released yet. But here's something almost no one knows. If you keep that salt inside your home, you pull back everything you tried to burn. Sounds dramatic? Then listen carefully. This is the most common mistake and the most dangerous. Many people, out of hesitation, doubt, or simple distraction, leave the burned salt sitting on the counter. Others throw it into regular trash or stash it in jars to use later. What they don't realize is that the salt is no longer an ingredient. It's now an energetic container. Everything you pushed into it, the fear, the guilt, the resentment, the unspoken words, the broken memories, is absorbed there. And if you keep it or even leave it nearby, the result is simple. You attract back what was already leaving. Aruna, the monk, taught that in ancient monasteries in South India, apprentices who forgot to discard the salt in time suffered immediate consequences. Recurring nightmares with faceless eyes, a heavy weight between the shoulders upon waking, objects breaking in the house without explanation, the return of negative cycles, debt, arguments, loneliness. This isn't punishment, it's energetic rebound. Salt burns, yes, but it also stores everything it burns. And if it's not carried far away, back into the earth, it keeps working, inside your home. Think of it as a saturated, energetic sponge. It already served its purpose. It's no longer salt. It's spiritual ash. This is why the moment of disposal is as sacred as the activation. No tossing it in the sink, no leaving it in a corner. No, I'll deal with it later. You must take it yourself to a natural place. Soil, a garden, a wooded area, even a potted plant works, as long as it's far from where you sleep. Pour the water with the salt and whisper, "I return to the earth what no longer belongs to me." After that, don't look back, turn around and walk away. That's it. Now that you know this, one vital detail remains: when to perform the ritual so it works as a true portal. Now that you know the ritual, you still need to understand when to do it. Because if the timing is wrong, not even the fire listens. You can light the candle correctly, use the right salt, the silence, the intention. But if the energetic timing isn't aligned, the ritual becomes empty smoke. It's like trying to plant a seed in frozen ground. Aruna was very clear with Abigail. Liberation can't be planted at just any hour. The ritual works when your inner world meets the right cycle of the outer world. And here's what he revealed, something the monks kept guarded for centuries. The ideal moment for the ritual. Moon phase, waning moon, the phase of release and cutting old cycles. Time, between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. After that, the energy begins to close. Days of the week, Tuesday or Saturday, days traditionally tied to spiritual strength and protection. Frequency, perform it for 3 nights in a row without skipping. Recommended cycle, at the beginning of the month or on emotionally heavy days, after arguments, losses or crises. During this window, the energy around you is more receptive to fire as a language. And your soul, even in silence, starts vibrating in a frequency more open to cutting energetic chords. But there's a secret here. You'll feel when the time is right. It's like your body calls you. You catch sight of the salt in the kitchen and feel a pull. You sense something dense in the house, like the air gained weight. You hear your name inside the silence. When that happens, don't wait. These moments are spontaneous portals. If you miss one, the next might take months to return. And more, during those 3 nights, tell no one, not as a joke, not out of excitement. Ritual silence is part of the power. It's in silence that the field reorganizes. But even people who do everything right can fail if they make one of the 4 fatal mistakes of this ritual. Even someone who follows every step perfectly can destroy the ritual with a single gesture, and almost no one realizes it in the moment. This is the part the spiritual ego hates. The part that says, "Oh, it's fine if I do it my way," but the spiritual world doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you vibrate. And with the burned salt ritual, there are 4 mistakes that completely cancel the released energy, or worse, reverse it and pull back what was trying to leave. Mistake 1. Keeping the burned salt out of pity or curiosity. We said it before, but it needs repeating. Once burned, salt is no longer neutral. It becomes a collector of spiritual charge. Keeping it in your home is like storing an emotional trash can in your living room. Mistake 2. Telling the ritual to negative people. Every time you share the ritual with someone who vibrates in doubt, envy, or judgment, you open cracks in your field. People who mock the unseen, who roll their eyes at anything sacred, they anchor your energy, and everything you released sticks back to you. Mistake 3, doing it without a clear intention. Lighting the fire just to see if it works is like speaking to someone you don't respect. Salt does not respond to doubt. It responds to clear vibrational command. If you don't know what you want to release, the ritual won't know what to burn. Mistake 4, doing it every day. Some people, out of anxiety, want to repeat it daily. But salt is not medicine. It's a blade. Every time you burn it, you cut a layer of your energetic field. If you insist without rest, you wound what is still healing. The result? Exhaustion, emotional instability, insomnia, even physical symptoms. These mistakes look small, but in energy work, the smallest shift moves the whole structure. Avoid all of them. Protect the integrity of the ritual as if guarding an ancient secret, because what happens after the salt stops crackling isn't the end. It's the beginning of the most spiritual cycle of all. Once the salt stops crackling, it's not over. It's the start of everything that was trying to reach you. On the first night, it feels like nothing happened. You blow out the candle, throw away the burned salt, tidy the kitchen, and go to bed. But the ritual has already begun working, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. That same night you might feel something shift. The air seems lighter, but also heavier with meaning. Some people say they wake up in the middle of the night with someone's name echoing in their mind. Others dream of places they've never been, deserts, long staircases, old doors swinging open. And some wake up with the unmistakable feeling that something was pulled out from deep within. It's real. It's your vibrational field reorganizing itself. During the 3 days of the ritual, it's common to notice subtle changes around you. Your phone stops ringing as much. Certain people disappear without explanation. Others suddenly reappear, apologizing. The atmosphere in the house shifts. The smell, the sound, even the color of the light feels different. This happens because you've broken patterns, and when patterns break, reality takes a moment to adjust. But it does adjust. Aruna used to say, "The ritual doesn't bring miracles. It brings permission." You're not calling something external, you're releasing what was blocked inside. And that's why the first signs show up in the small things. A pen you thought was lost, an old photo falling from a shelf, an email you forgot you were waiting for. During this phase, it's crucial to protect your inner silence. Avoid arguments, avoid social media, avoid crowds, drink more water, go to bed early, listen to calm music. And if you can, tell no one. Because now the energy is expanding and your field is still adjusting to the new frequency. And if you start dreaming of mirrors, doors, or strangers calling your name, pay attention. Those are the first spiritual signs of transformation. If you've started dreaming about mirrors, doors, or unfamiliar people calling your name, that means the ritual worked. The signs rarely come the way you expect. They don't show up with bright lights or angelic music. They come as whispers woven into everyday life, and only those with an open heart will notice. In the first week after the ritual, your dreams change. You may find yourself walking through portals, holding keys, moving through silent hallways. These images are symbolic. They show that your inner blockages have started to dissolve. Dreaming of mirrors. You're seeing parts of yourself that were once hidden. Dreaming of doors opening. Paths that were locked, even financial ones, are beginning to open on the spiritual plane. Dreaming of strangers calling your name. These represent guides or ancestors reaching out to reconnect, to protect you, to lead you into the next phase. But the signs don't stop in your dreams. Women who have done this ritual report, feeling an inexplicable peace upon waking, even after years of insomnia, receiving unexpected messages or calls from people they were estranged from, money showing up in surprising ways, renegotiated debts, new orders, old clients returning, and most surprising of all, negative people simply drifting away without any confrontation. That's energy realigning. You don't need to fight anyone. You just shift your field, and your field shifts everything. Another powerful confirmation is when you start hearing your own intuition more clearly. Not the anxious voice, the quiet one, the wise one, the one that guides you even in complete silence. Important, these signs usually show up for up to 21 days after the ritual. During this time, trust, watch, write down your dreams. Pay attention to the conversations you hear, the songs that unexpectedly play, the coincidental encounters along your day. Because in this phase, reality is speaking to you. Now that you've received all of this, there's only one symbolic gesture left to seal the ritual and amplify what you've released. Just one step, simple but powerful. Write in the comments, "I activate my prosperity today." You might think it's just a sentence. But in the energetic field, written words become anchored codes. When you write it, you aren't just declaring it to the world, you're declaring it to your field, to your mind, to your energy, and most of all, to whatever has been walking beside you in silence. And there's more. When this phrase is written publicly, in a ritual space like this video, it joins hundreds, thousands of other intentions, and the collective field strengthens. Studies in applied quantum intention already show that similar vibrations grouped together form fields with stronger manifesting power. Meaning, when you comment, "I activate my prosperity today," you are not alone. You're joining a circle of women who, just like you, decided to stop carrying what's no longer theirs. And that has power. It's like each comment becomes a lit candle, and the YouTube algorithm itself becomes the temple that spreads that flame. The more comments with that phrase, the more the video reaches people who truly need it. It's viral spirituality, and it's beautiful. You activate your field, and you help others activate theirs. So now, with your intention clean, your heart open, and your energy tuned to the right frequency, write in the comments, "I activate my prosperity today." Write it as someone sealing a pact with the unseen, as someone closing a cycle, as someone finally accepting she is worthy of receiving. After you type it, sit in silence for 3 minutes, breathe, close your eyes, feel. The ritual will be complete, and if you felt something truly shift inside you, in the next video, I'll teach you the ritual the monks use to seal the body against envy, spiritual illness, and energetic attacks, an invisible shield revealed only to those who've already walked through the fire.